Well, and Jan is saying, how do you teach syllabication to little ones?
Mary, Bobby, Marilyn. That's syllabication.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I just worry that some kids like don't know where to do the clapping, the break is. So I've had them put their hand into their right because you know how some kids just clap and they can't hear the break.
I was trained that way too for syllables, and I never found it worked very well.
Okay.
That the kids would just, they're just
Right.
hands.
And that's what
I don't find this works well at all. I've never had success with it. And it gets taught really widely. We don't teach people to do it.
When I was doing kindergarten, and we clapped their names quite often, and we clap everybody's name. It did two things. They learned about syllabication through that repetition of the names. They also became together as a group because they knew each other's names.
I think there's two pieces there, and you taught kindergarten for 17 years, right? In a Montessori classroom, where there was all kinds of other phonemic awareness activities happening in that kindergarten classroom, and a lot of work with sound symbol connection and identifying initial sounds and work with syllabication. So that was an environment that was really rich in all of that phonemic awareness work, right? And some of that, and the walking in a Montessori classroom too, Jan, you do a lot of music activities where the children get up and walk to the music in a certain pace because the music is a certain pace. So there's all of these gross motor activities that the children do to feel beats. And you also do lots of oral language, reading of stories where there's lots of rhythm in the poems and in the stories. And when she's talking about finger plays, do you know what she's talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So all of that where you do the overemphasizing of the syllables develops the feeling for what the beats in our words have. And then when we look at this work, when researchers look at this work, they say you take whole sentences and you break them into can a child take a whole sentence and go, I can find all the words in the sentence? Mm-hmm. And then you say, with words, can you find the syllables in the sentences? And then you say, in the syllable, can I break it apart into its individual phonemes? So that's the sequence of this development of the skill. So if you're here at word level, multisyllabic words, and you're like, I don't know if they can tell that this has two syllables, that's where their instructional, that's the point of instruction that they need to be able to hear the beats and words. And all of the clapping business has to be done really slowly. So like I had a child that I tutored who had a laundry list of issues. And one of them was just getting his hands to go together for clapping. It didn't really work. So we hopped the syllables. So we were like doing pizza, and we would pound pizza, and then we would jump pizza. And we did all of this really active, not this, because this didn't do him any good.
And that's what I find too, because some of the kids don't know. So when you have kids who are clapping to it, and then you have kids who it's like, hello, right? So I just thought maybe
what we teach them to use is gross motor. Clapping is gross motor. If they can't, and for most children it works. For the kids that it doesn't work, then get even more gross. Use more of the body. And the pounding works too. Like kids sitting with their legs clapped and pounding on their legs is a different activity than this midline. This piece where they're not really crossing the midline, but they have to bring their hands together. So pounding on their own body can also be a way for them to do that, feeling the beat. But those are all things the child will be interested to hear how they go.
Another one is saying it like a robot. I found that to be incredibly useful.
So give us an example of what you mean by that, because you really like that.
So for instance, like let's say you're trying to figure out how to spell believe and black, and the child can't tell the difference between the bull at the beginning, whether there's a vowel, and you're trying to explain to them, well, it's two syllables, believe, versus black is one syllable, and they can't hear it. Then you say, okay, say it like a robot, and they'd say, believe. And then say black, black. and they do it themselves. They don't say black. You say black or believe. And so if you say it like a robot, then and those are, and a lot of kids watch a lot of TV and see a lot of robots and talk a lot in robot talk. And so that's a very familiar, it's been really helpful.
You know what? Whatever works. You work with a lot of children like older, like third, fourth, fifth grade. And if that captures their imagination and they're willing to do it, then that's perfectly reasonable.